Hello and welcome to learning ASP.NET Core. Today I'm going to show you how we can add authorization and manage user roles in ASP.NET Core MVC application. So as always, I have created a basic boilerplate template here, and in this demo I have also written some code so that I can save the time. And here is our project. It's gonna look like this. So we have a home page here, and then if I click on this configure user role, then we will be navigated to the user role management, and we have here new role, view roles, assign user roles, and go back button. So with new role we can add a new role. Let's say we wanna add salesman salesman role, then we can add a role here, and we can see new salesman here. If I go to view role, then we see the same window here, same browser here page. And if I want to remove this role, then I can also remove the role. So after that we can assign a role to the user. So in this page we can select the user here. So these are the two users that I already created. So once we create another user here, register the new user, then that user will appear here, and we can select the user, and then we can select the role from here, and then we can click on assign. Now we can view the roles of the user. For instance, this user have the manager role, and then this user has accountant role. We can also assign the multiple roles to the same user. Let's say we want to make this user admin, then we can do that as well. So now if I click on this, then we see this user has two role, and the another user has only one role. We can also remove this role from here, and now the user Jack doesn't have any roles here. So let's assign the role to the Jack, select, and then make him accountant, assign, and then now our user Jack has one role, which is accountant. So this is the interface through which we can manage user roles. And let's go through the code. To save the time, I have already written the code for this, and here I am going to walk you through one by one. So let's go through the model first. I have created a model here with the two properties, user ID and role name. And in the controller, I have a home controller. It is a default home controller and it has nothing in here. I have created another controller called user role management controller, and here in user role management I have used user manager, injected user manager, and role manager. So this comes in default in this comes by default in ASP.NET Core, and we can pass identity user in the user manager and identity role in the role manager. So these classes are the part of ASP.NET Core identity framework, and identity framework helps is a library for authorizing user in our ASP.NET Core MVC application. So in order to make enforce authorization, or in order to integrate authorization in our project, we just need to use identity framework, and we don't need to make our own authorization system. So this comes in by default. Now user managers, with user manager we can get information about the user, and with role manager we can get information about the role manager. After then I have created a few views here. As we can see, view and user role management, and here index. In index I have passed the model of a list of identity users. That means the index view displays the list of the users. So it has a model it has a model of list of identity user, and by using a simple table I am displaying the username here. So as you can see, when I click on this, then we see these two users. So that view displays the users in the view here, and we will get those users from the controller and pass that to the view. And after then, if we click on the display roles, then this display role is this view here, view roles. This is the display role, and on this view there are two parts. On the left hand side there is a form to create a new role, and on the right hand side all roles are displayed in the table. So here I have created a one form here, and you can easily understand this code, and this code is also available in GitHub, so don't forget to check the link in the description if you are interested. And I have created a table here on the right hand side, and as this view gets the list of the identity role, we can iterate through that and get the r dot name property. The name is the role here, so we displayed the list of the roles all the roles in our available in our application. And we can add new roles from here, salesman, and it is displayed here, salesman. Now the another view here is assign user to the role, and if we go through this, then this is the view here, and it has a two list select box. One displays the list of the users available, and other select box displays all the roles available in the system. So in order to make that happen, I have created a to select here, and I have used the user role model that I created in the model folder here. So this user role model is used to create this add user to role form, and I have created a to select box, and assign that select box to the user role model. And whenever the user click on the submit button, then the user ID and role name are passed to the controller. And another view is the detail view that shows the details about that shows in details which user has what roles. So here manager has this here the user Matt has these two roles, manager and admin. And if I go to back and click on Jack, then we see the all the roles that are assigned to the Jack. So details view looks like this. As we can go here and see the details, in the details we pass the list of the string from the controller, and then here we displayed all the roles that are assigned to the users. And in a moment I'll show you how to get the list of the roles that are assigned to the user from the controller. But from the controller we are passing the list of the roles for the particular user, and we have also passed viewback.username from the controller that displays the current name of the user, that is this user. And then I have created one partial view to display those buttons: new role, view roles, assign user to roles, and go back. And let's go through that partial view here, and that is kept under the shared folder, top menu partial. And it has a few buttons here, simple button that points to these links or these actions of the controller, user role controller, user role management controller. So we have these buttons here, and in every view I have rendered that partial. So in index I have rendered that top menu partial, and in add user to role I have rendered this top menu partial, and in details also same thing, and display roles here also I have done the same thing here. Now let's go through the controller. Now in the index section we are displaying all the users. So in order to get the users, we can take help of the user managers, and user manager has a user property. So if we do user manager dot users dot to list, then we get all the users that are registered to our system, and we are passing that user to the view, and our index view displays all the users here. And in the details what we have done is, whenever the user click on this view details button, then they get the roles associated with the particular user. So in order to do that, we need to have the user ID. So this user ID is coming from the view. As we can see, if we go over to the index, then whenever the user click on the detail, then the user ID has been passed to that get method, get call. So the user id is passed to this action, and we get the user from the user manager by using the id, and for that we can use user manager dot find by async, and this is the asynchronous method. We can pass the user id and that gives us the user. Now we have assigned the username to the viewback.username in the detail page. So in the detail we have displayed username by using viewback.username here, and then what we have done is we have fetched all the role associated with this particular user here. So what we have done is user manager has a method called get roles async, and we can pass the user and it will find all the roles that are associated with this particular users, and we have displayed those roles here. So if I user and then if I click on this, then this is the name of the user coming from the viewback.username, and these are the roles. Those are the roles associated with this user. Now in the add role method I have simply written in the add role view I have simply written redirected to the display roles, and our display roles has a one form here that I already told you, and on the right hand side it has a table to display the list of the users, list of the roles. So our display role is this view here, and this form is used to create the role. So whenever user click on the add role or the new role new role button, then this action get called and it renders the display role view here. And the display role view, in the display role we have a form here, and that post data to the add role method, and in the add role method we have a parameter role coming from the view. As we can see, it has a input field with the name and id role, so that value is going to the add role action of the controller. And in order to create the role we can use role manager. So we have a role manager injected in the constructor here, as you can see, role manager of identity role. Now we are using this role manager to create the role. So we can create role manager dot create async, and this method require us to pass the identity role, and we passed this string role to the identity role, and this creates the role in the database. And this is a asynchronous method, so we need to put await to this. After then we have a display role action here, and display role we are displaying all the roles available in our system, and in order to fetch all the roles we can use role managers dot roles dot to list. Same like user, to get all the users we do user manager dot users dot to list, and to fetch all the roles what we need to do is role manager dot roles dot to list, and we are passing these roles to the view, display role view, and these are the so we have here put the model of the display role view to the list of the identity role. And the next method is the add user role, and add user role is this view here, assign user to the role, and this view require us to pass the list of the user and list of the roles. So we are fetching all the users from the database using user manager dot user dot to list, and we are fetching all the roles from the database using roles manager dot roles dot to list, and we are creating the new select list, and this select list is used to create the drop down list, and this is a view helper here, and drop down list creator available from the ASP.NET Core, and we can use a new select list, and we can pass the collection here, and this id is the value that we want to pass when we select this field here. So whenever I select this user, then this is the display name, and actual whenever I click on the assign, then this name doesn't get passed to the controller action. Instead the id of this user will get passed. So this id is that value, that is the value that we want to pass, and username is the display field. And same for the roles, and here I have passed the roles in the select list, and I want to display the name, role name in the drop down box, as well as I want to pass the same role name whenever I click on the submit button. So I have given the name here. So we return the view, and in the add user to role view I have created to select here, and in order to pass those items we need to use ASP item tag helper, and this ASP items in this ASP items we can pass viewback.users or viewback.roles, that is the one that is created using the select list. So this displays all the users, and this displays all the roles to the user, and we are binding these users to the user ID and these roles to the role name, and it sends the data to the add user to role action by using post method. So this is the one, and whenever user click on the submit button here or the assign button here, then that value comes, that is we get the user role, and user role contains user ID and the role name. Now with these two information we are going to assign particular user a particular row. So with this we get first user, so we can get user from the user manager by doing user manager dot find by id async, and we need to pass the user ID here. User ID is coming from the view, and we got the user. Now in the user manager we have a method called add to role async, so this will add this particular user to the given role. So we pass the user here, and then we passed the role that is coming from the view. So that's how if I select the user Jack and then select the role salesman, then these two roles will get assigned to the user Jack here. And finally we redirect user to the index action. And next method is remove user role. So whenever the user click on this, now we can remove the accountant role of the Jack from here, and in order to remove the role we need to have a role and from which user we want to remove that role. So these two parameters are coming from the view. So if we go over to the detail view, and as you can see here I have passed the role as R, that is this view contains the model for this view is the list of the string. Since in order to display the list of the roles we need to pass list of the string as a model, because in the detail action this roles here it returns, as you can see it returns the list of the display roles. Sorry, I want to show this in the detail action here. If we are passing the user roles to the view, and this user roles we have faced using user manager dot get roles async, and if I hover here, then you can see in the IntelliSense that this is returning us list of the string. So we need to put the data type or the model of this view as a string, and so if I iterate through that model, then we get the name in the, that is the value of the string in this variable itself. So R is the role here, and I have, whenever the user click on remove user role, I have passed two parameter here. Role is the role string here, and username as the one that is coming from the viewbag here, viewbag.username. So whenever user tries to remove the role here, we get the two information from the view, that is role and the username, and we use those two to remove the role. So first of all we need to get the user from the username, and we can use the user manager dot find by name async method, and we need to pass username that gives us the user, and in order to remove the role we can use user manager and call the API remove from role async, and we need to pass user and the role that we want to remove. And finally I am redirecting the user to the details section. So whenever someone removes the role, so let's say we want Jack to remove from the salesman, so I can click on the remove, and then it removes and redirected to the same page here. So I am passing the user ID because our details action require us to pass the user ID. And the another method here is the remove role. So this remove role is for this one. Whenever I click on the, I want to, if we want to remove our roles from the system, let's say we want to remove the salesman, then we can click on the remove roles and then S. So this, in order to remove the role, we passed the role from the view here. So in the display roles here, as we can see, whenever the user click on the remove role, we are passing the role as a parameter. So it comes here, and then we first fetch the role that we want to delete from the database. So we use the role manager and find by name async method available from the identity framework and pass the role here. So this gives us the role to delete, and we are using role manager again and call the delete async and pass this role to delete, and to this deletes or the removes the role from our system. And finally we are redirecting user back to the display role method. So this is the controller part, and here we have injected user manager and role manager. And to make this work, we need to make a small change on the startup. So initially when we create our project, so if we create scaffold our project, then these two things here, add default UI and add default token providers, won't be here. So whenever you scaffold your project, then it looks like this, and here it will be add default identity. So you will get this whenever you scaffold the new project here. So in order to make that role manager injection working, we need to change what is coming from us from the default, what is coming by default template, to this add identity. So we need to change this to add identity, and here we need to pass identity role, and then we need to do add default UI, and then add default token provider. So this is all we need to make changes in our application to make this work. So let's save this, and now it's all working here. So now let's authorize the user. So for instance, you want user to require login whenever they want to go to the privacy link of the home controller. So how can you handle that? What we can do is view solution explorer. So what we can do is we can go over to the controller and home action. Let's say we want to only authorized user to access the privacy link, then we can use authorize attribute here. So let's click on, let's save this, and then our project is reloading. So let's refresh. So let's refresh finally, and it's coming back now. Let's log out, and if I go on home, then it's working. If I go to privacy, then it doesn't work. That means whenever we put authorize attribute to any action, then that blocks the action from being accessed by the unauthorized user. You can also put the authorized attribute to the at the top of the controller, so that every actions will get authorized. But if you put authorized attribute at the top of each action, then you can selectively block the particular action from being accessed by the unauthorized user. So if I log in here, Then now we can go to the home and the privacy section both. So, and another thing is, if you want to restrict access to this privacy based on the role, then we can pass the roles here. Roles equal to, let's say we only want to allow admin user to access this action, then what we can do is we can pass the roles equal to admin. And you can give multiple roles by giving yeah, comma here. So if you want to allow this privacy action for admin and both managers, then we can separate this using the comma here. So let's say we want only the authorized user who has a role of admin to access this privacy, then we can authorize this action in this way. So let's wait for our server to restart, and it's up and running now. Let's log out and then let's log in. And now we can access the privacy because we have logged in as a matt@gmail.com, and if I go here to the matt@gmail.com, then he has a permission of admin. Let's remove this admin permission from the matt, and then let's log out and then log in again. And if I try to go over to the privacy, then now we can't go over to the privacy because this matt@gmail.com doesn't have admin privilege or the admin role now. So in this way we can add authorization with the roles in ASP.NET Core MVC application. So this is it for now, friend, and if you like this video, then please don't forget to share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a great day.